guys again. We're here for Tasting Room Conversations. This is actually the first one that we're going to air.
Amazing.
Excited. Are you excited?
I'm super excited.
I'm super stoked too.
I have a beer.
As we promised, we're going to hang out with friends. We're going to hang out with people that I've been fortunate enough to meet throughout the years that are doing really cool things throughout our communities. A lot of it probably because we're in Bangor. We'll be right around Bangor. Some of it throughout all the state. And we're going to sit down and have a beer and chat. As you can see, my good friend Jerod Edes and I have jumped right into the beer drinking. We're pretty good at that. That might be where we started the bromance that is. See how I did that? But today we're here talking with you in your role at, see how that happened? Waterfront Concerts. So
sure.
Jerod, you've been with Waterfront Concerts for a long time. You've been associated with the core crew that runs Waterfront Concerts for a very long time, if we wanted to go into the Wayback Machine.
Sure.
But now we're sitting here at the beginning of the 10th season.
We are.
Unreal.
Yeah, 0 to 9 makes 10.
Yeah, what does that look like? I mean, what does 10th season look like and feel like for you at Waterfront Concerts as a company, as sometimes you think like, hey, as you're in this business, things are going to get easier, things are going to get different. I mean, how does the 10th season going into that look in comparison to that first season? And how
credibility for one.
Right.
I can imagine back when I was first approached about the project and I was asked to offer some insight. I was kind of baffled. I can remember the phone call from Alex. You're going to put Alan Jackson where?
Yeah.
It was not a thing that I could even wrap my head around. And here he is 10 years later. I'm fortunate enough to be part of it throughout the years, and it's amazing the caliber of acts that we've been able to grow from, the first show being Celtic Women to now we've got a sold out Chris Stapleton show getting ready to come out. And
I'm all right with that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and we've done names like, if you just take the Bangor venue, you look at names like Luke Bryan and Kenny Chesney and Jimmy Buffett, and then some of the other stuff that we've done where we did Elton John and the Cross Centers, and it just
that was a hell of a show. That was awesome. Yeah,
both of them. It's pretty neat to be part of something like that. Pretty neat to be some part of it that's bigger than yourself.
Right. Right.
So going into the 10th season, we're super excited. We've continued on development as an ongoing process. We actually joke that we take an entire off season and try to come up with a new plan and a new approach to better the concert and fans experience and to better what we do and make it easier for what we do. Faced with a variety of challenges, it doesn't always work out, but we're able to continuously move forward.
I think one of those challenges that I'm aware of, and we don't need to go too far down this rabbit hole because it's just worth noting, is people have assumptions. Like, for example, with us, with our beer brand, people have assumptions that, like, hey, why is your beer this price in this place and this price in this place? And that's something that's out of our control as a brand.
Of course.
I think you guys sometimes get shit on at the venue for why aren't the bathrooms built? Why don't you have this? Why don't you have that? And people don't understand that you're putting on these incredibly high-end A-list concerts for thousands of people a summer, creating millions of dollars of revenue stream into the city of Bangor in a city-owned park.
Yeah.
So it's not like you are deciding, hey, I want to build bathrooms, and you can just do it. It takes time, it takes effort.
Sure. The
city has to make sure that it's a good value for them long term. You have to get the approvals and all those things necessary. So I think when you think about it from that perspective too, the things that you guys have been able to pull off from going from that original season, that venue with the wonky stage over here and everything
every show.
Oh my Lord,
yeah.
I can't even imagine.
I mean, look at the logistics of it. The city of Bangor has, 33,000 people, 34,000 people?
Yeah.
You figure on a sold-out show, that's a general capacity show, we've got 16,000 people. That's half the capacity of the city of Bangor, and a little bitty postage stamp in the middle of town. So think about, like
in a city park.
In a city park.
It wasn't designed for it, but has come around into it.
Think about when you flush a toilet, what happens after that? Most people don't give it the second thought, but when you're talking about development and working at that caliber, when you flush the toilet times 16,000 people, Was the city infrastructure prepared for that? The answer is no.
I mean, those are carryovers that are happening in the brewing scene too. You know, we're seeing the expansion of breweries, and it's like, hey, you know, that's great, but where sewer systems aren't equipped for it, our laws aren't quite ready for it. You know, so when you go through these big growth things, they're growing pains.
It is, and it's important for your partners to have the same forward thinking that we do in order to get anything accomplished. And we've hit some challenges. We've had some successes along the way where we've been able to continue to progress. But it's important to have other people realize your vision.
Yeah,
we've had some great partners in that.
You know, I got to hand it to him. $100+ million of revenue coming into our
105 between 2010 and 2016.
Yeah, that's
$5 million in economic impact.
Yeah,
You figure that doesn't include the guy down the road that's paying for or billing out his parking lot for parking and whatnot that just goes cash into his pocket or whatever. There's some residual benefits locally for people.
As a business owner who is directly impacted in a positive way from Waterfront Concerts with our restaurant on Main Street, I mean, it's very clear the impact. I mean, we used to look at summers in Bangor and everybody left. Summer happened and hey, I'm going to the lake, wherever that lake was. And if you had a good week of weather, it was crickets in a restaurant. It was crickets in downtown.
Sure.
Now you've got a great week of weather, and maybe you still see as many people going home to their camps and stuff like that. But you now see literally thousands of people flooding into the city, looking to experience the city, looking to see the culture, looking to see what's going on, try the craft beer, listen to some great tunes, all that sort of stuff. And it's
I've got a camp, you've got a camp.
Yeah.
I mean, we're part of the problem that's leaving the city. However, when you look at 30% of our people coming from maritime Canada, you look at the traffic exchange that comes north instead of going south to Boston to see shows. We're not only exercising our resources within a certain parameter, we're bringing people from miles away into the city. And when they're here, they're not just spending with us, they're spending with you and everything else.
Yeah.
So,
you know, I remember one of the first shows I went, the first time Zach Brown was in town in the old spot.
mm-hmm.
And I remember watching the concert, just being in awe of this happening in my hometown. You know, I mean, I'm a Brewer boy, but close enough.
Imposter?
Yeah, sorry. I'm actually an Orrington boy, let's be honest. But
Jesus, it's getting worse.
it is. Well, we're not going to get to where you're from unless you want to.
So, I was at the University of Maine and my folks came down to go to a hockey game.
Yeah.
They picked me up at Hart Hall. We had a bunch of drinks and we went over to the hockey game. While we were at the hockey game, I walked in and some girl looked at me and she was like, "Hey, you look like a hot shot." I was like, "Okay." She's like, "You want to be on the ice?" So during one of the period breaks, they do the thing where you shoot the pucks and you win something.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I was up to winning, but we exchanged some information. When they called my name, I went out on the ice and she said, "You know, Jerod Edes from Dover Foxcroft, Maine. My mother lost her marbles because I'm from Guildford."
Right, that's different.
But it's
That
different.
is different.
That's Orrington, Bangor different.
Yeah.
But no, when I said Guildford, she looked at me like I had three heads. I was like, so I just said Dover. Oh, she recognized Dover. So I can.
I'm from Bangor. For people who don't know Bangor.
Yeah, I'm from Dover. For those who don't know Guildford.
Yeah.
Now I've lived here longer though than I have when I was in Bangor.
Yeah. When that concert ended, I was in awe. I'm watching because like, wow, this is happening in my hometown, and I just kind of watched everybody file up because I get very interested in just kind of people watching sometimes. And one of the things I noticed, and this is going to be a negative about that moment, man, was that field trash.
Oh yeah.
Like absolutely trash. And I thought to myself, like, you got some cleanup to do.
It was burning.
Over the last few years, you know, as I've been at concerts, it's amazing to see the improvement that has been made. Because when you have presumably 14,000 plus people in one spot, it's going to have an impact. You guys have been really thoughtful and forward-thinking, and some probably tied to what the artists are into. But you've had a lot of environmental sustainability type initiatives that have gone on. You know, talk about that a little bit. What prompts that? Why are we doing that?
It's sort of become industry standard in what we do. A lot of artists are conscious in that effort. You know, with the Dave Matthews Jack Johnson Fishes of the world. We've got the organization of Reverb that works with artists. They have people like Drake and Jason Mraz and a bunch of those people that understand the impact that they make traveling around the country. Kenny Chesney rolls with like 13 trucks.
Yeah.
So
and you have to put on that show.
Of course. The production of lights and sounds and stuff that blows up and big blow up stuff and my 17 costumes that I have to wear. And rhinestones alone are pretty heavy. So
They are.
A big truck.
Yeah.
People are starting to become more conscious of it. On the producing and the production and promotion side of things, we've realized that we're putting, much like the bathroom conversation, we're realizing that we're putting a vast number of people in a small area, and they're consuming a huge amount of goods. And you figure, if we're going to serve Geaghan's beer on the waterfront, which we have traditionally, and we're going to continue with a new project.
Yeah. Tease right there, but we'll talk about that later. We'll get to that later. Maybe not today. We'll see. Yeah, it takes a lot.
It does, but you figure every beer that goes out has usually been served in the draft format. It has to go in some sort of vessel.
Right.
A lot of those vessels end up in the landfill, and our effort has been to come up with compostable cups. People make fun of the California regulations where they don't offer straws with drinks. Well, the industry standard for us is not to offer straws with drinks unless you actually ask for one.
Yep. We've made that switch in the restaurant too, and we have gone from putting a straw in every drink to putting straws on the table and giving the customer the option who wants it. Because if you want a straw, need a straw, there's nothing like a straw. You can't fake it. But you can give a little bit more information, give a little bit better option.
Yeah, and we actually pay more for compostable materials. We pay more for compostable cups. All of our straws are biodegradable. All of our flatware and all of our concessions, wraps and such are all compostable, so that we're hoping to reduce the footprint. Plus, if you look out back driving by the venue at any point, you can see our backstage compound, or even a couple of our front of house buildings. They all have solar panels on top of them. Yeah. We try to capture as much of that energy as we can.
Well, in your 10 seasons, I we'll get to this next question, but I think from what I know of you guys, you hope to be 100 more seasons.
I hope so.
And so a lot of these environmental initiatives are also long-term economic initiatives. Mm-hmm. They make really good sense economically speaking as well. You put those solar panels on, and yes, it's an upfront cost, but when you look at it of, hey, we're going to be here, we're going to commit to this, we want this to work for 15, 20, 30, 40 seasons, you're going to end up better off economically as well.
We would hope so. I mean, if you look at the reality of it, we operate, I think the average is something like 15.11 days a year. Anywhere between 15 and 20 shows. We've done as many as 23 or 25 shows. So you figure realistically in Bangor, we're only operating a set number of days a year. And the amortization schedule, some of the stuff, the investment that we have to make, how many shows do we have to do over how many years to pay that back? Plays a large factor on things like bathrooms and buildings and amenities and improved surfaces and seats. So those are things that we work with municipalities and our partners.
All right, so I'm going to ask a question that is a question that often doesn't get asked, because sometimes when you ask a question, you get an answer that you don't want to hear. But in the Bangor market, having 14,000 people at a show is awesome, unreal, like crazy. Because you figure, in this market, that's half the people that are here. So you're either drawing half of the people that are in this city, or you're drawing people from outside in.
Sure.
And that's a challenge when you want to put on multiple shows in a year. When you look at it though, these big acts, that's not a huge show for them. That's kind of a smaller show. It makes it more difficult economically to put that on. I've always wondered, why is Waterfront Concerts working so hard in Bangor? Why Bangor? Why this market?
The complex answer has many different offshoots that we can continue down on.
Yeah.
But the reality is at the beginning of this, all in the onset of Alex talking to Robbie Snow and saying, hey, let's do some concerts in Bangor. Alex had been working in the industry for Live Nation for a period of time up and down the East Coast, learning the industry. Wanted to do it in his own backyard.
Yeah.
He saw a void of not necessarily things to do, but rad things to do. He saw people leaving the area, younger generation taking off. He wanted to be able to get out of bed, go to work, do something great to change the face of the area that he grew up in. He's from Old Town, but again, like Orrington or like Dover and Guilford, he's from the Bangor area. That's what people associate. He wanted to make this area a really cool area to be at. He wanted to make this area a really lucrative place for younger people to get out of the University of Maine or Huston or UCC or any of the surrounding schools and stay and have an opportunity. So how do you grow the area? You got to do something big. I mean, it's a matter of taking several small steps. But if you do something big, the people that are going to take small steps will follow. I mean, look at the number of businesses that have opened up downtown since the venue started. Part of our challenge is getting people in the gates.
Yeah.
We have security measures that we have to go through to get people in the gates, and those are often challenged by people being able to stay in local establishments for longer periods of time and then flooding the gate right before the music goes on, right? Yeah. So the growth of downtown Bangor is exactly why we're here. We're all relatively local. Yeah. Whether it be we all came here to go to school, we came here because we got out of small towns or whatever it may be, but we're all very passionate about the Bangor area, growing it, and allowing others to grow with us. Yeah. So that's basically why we're here. I mean, good business is limiting your risk, right? It's 1 million people in South Maine. Why would we go there? Right. We don't want it.
It's the same thing, that I would echo with our brand is, yes, we have roots here, and it started in the restaurant here. That's a fixed location. But when we decide to build a brewery, we can build a brewery wherever.
Sure. And
ultimately, you build it in one of those hubs, in one of the meccas of people in the state, which is still pretty small. It gets easier, but it's not right. And it's not true. It doesn't have the passion that doing it in the place that you want to live, the place you want to be, the place that you love, really does. And I said I didn't want to ask that question, but I asked that question because I have before with you, and I know that answer. Yeah. And I think it's something that people overlook. And I'm going to go out and say this, that I think we hear a lot of people grumble and gripe of, well, it's all one kind of music, or it's too loud, or it's blocking our view, or it's this or it's that. But I want to say, I want to applaud you and everybody that's part of the Waterfront team, because it's a lot of really cool people that are part of our community, that have committed to be part of Bangor, and you're doing something that's changing the face of Bangor in a positive way to the next generation that's going to say, where do I want to be? I mean, we've talked for years and years and years about the brain drain in the state of Maine. And one of the things that I think we need to stop doing is talking about that and instead talking about, hey, you know what? We're a real cool place that people ought to want to come live. Like, not only do we want to keep people who are from here, but we want to bring people from away in and be very open to that and willing to say, hey, we're proud of where we are. We're here because we want to be. Yeah, it might not be as quick and easy and lucrative, but it's worth it. Yeah. And I think Waterfront Concerts has been really a shining star for a lot of kids like me that grew up in Bangor thinking, holy Lord, what's Bangor going to be if I stay? Right. What's it going to be in 10 years? What's it going to be in 15, 20 years? The Bangor that is today is not the Bangor that I thought would be here now when I was a high school kid coming out through.
When I met my wife, I was on my way out of town.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you have been? Why wouldn't you have been?
So there wasn't a whole lot here. I mean, the company's, the state's saturated in agriculture, forestry, manufacturing. It's got a fairly decent hospitality market. It's got a bunch of positive things that go for us. But, as the rest of the world progresses, we must also. And, this is just a way for us to do it. And Waterfront Concerts does a great job at getting us out there to see those cool things. We all have the ability to travel, learn from people in our industry, go to conventions and see the way that other people are doing it, and bring it home. Yeah. So that.
And not just bring it home, but bring it home very, very well. I mean, you guys have been recognized as contender for some really big awards.
Yeah, we've
that,
been
the big markets are coveting.
Yeah, we've been up for an ACM twice.
Yeah, I mean that's huge.
Yeah.
In Bangor, Maine.
I know.
Like, I'm a country music fan. I'll own it. I'm a big dumb country boy. It's
You're not dumb.
well. Oh shucks, mister, you're a real ass.
Just keep being pretty.
keep being pretty and keep making the beer.
That's
keep
right.
Friends and
You do a
flattering
remarkable
very
job.
well. Thank you. I appreciate that. But the crew is making it these days. I'm just trying to keep it all together. But I look at the fact that as a country music fan, I listen to country music artists and to hear top tier artists, to see some of, and no offense, but I'm not a pop country guy, but you see some of the older country guys, you see some of the super talented new guys coming through Bangor and then wanting to come back, talking about Bangor when you turn on an XM radio that's a national broadcast and it's talking about Bangor, Maine. It's like, whoa.
Luke Bryan was on Ellen talking about his 40th birthday party that he celebrated in the venue.
Yeah.
His wife came in, a bunch of his friends came in, they made a week out of it in
He
Bar Harbor.
could have taken the day off. It was his birthday. He can afford it. I'm guessing that
I don't know what's coming.
I mean, I haven't seen this.
We don't talk on the phone, but
I know. But I would imagine, if I was Luke Bryan and I wanted my birthday off, I'd take it off. He wanted to come to me.
of course
He wanted to be here. He wanted to do this. And
that's been a big means to our success too.
Yeah.
I mean, in the early years, of course, you think of a temporary venue, you think of everything that we have to do to kind of set it up and break it down. We've been fortunate enough to be this far into it where we can have some sense of permanency to the venue and we can continue to make amenities, but the back of house is just as important as the front, because if the artist isn't happy coming here,
right.
like there are artists out there that will take less money to play venues just because it's a cool place to be.
Right.
In the backstage stuff, they've got bars and they've got shellfish towers going on and they've got cocktail waitresses and whatnot. And those are things that we're starting to implement. We're starting to improve the backstage experience too, so that the artist will come and be like, you know what?
I just want to go back there. That was
place
cool.
is rad.
That was cool. Yeah.
And it's as much about them as it is about the fan. Right. So that can be challenging to fight battles on both fronts.
Yeah. Well, any of the acts that come through that want to play brewer for a day, just send them.
I'll send them over.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I know this perfect space. All the beer you need.
I'll tell you what, if you're an artist that is coming to Waterfront Concerts and you think you want to play brewer for a day, just come over and crush some beers. It's way more fun than actually brewing the beers.
Andrew plays bongos.
Well, just, hey, I'm not very good, but I'll rock it for you. No,
nice plug.
why not? Jerod, thanks for the time. I know you're incredibly busy, especially this time of year. 10th season is going to be a knockout season.
Sure.
It's going to be fantastic.
It's awesome.
I'm getting excited about hearing all the places. We may or may not have another announcement that we're going to have to make about that season.
May or may not.
May or may not. Stay tuned. We'll see. But thank you to you and to the whole Waterfront team, to Alex and everybody for saying, you know what, we want to make Bangor good. So
yeah, it's a whole team of us. We do cooperation with the community. So it's not me. It's Waterfront. It's not all of us.